Okay. Play accordion. Hi. That was a butcher. I haven't opened this thing in a while. This is not my usual accordion. I had a golden accordion that I got in seventh grade. I was that into They Might Be Giants. I begged for an accordion. I begged for it. My parents, I later found out, bought me $100 accordion, and I love that thing. I had like a an amp pickup put into it, which like the guy at the music store was like, "This is no one's ever wanted to do fuzz pedals with an accordion. It doesn't work for all kinds of technical reasons," and it really didn't. But I was like very into the idea, and then I had that accordion. I had that accordion for my whole life, and I loved it, and it was just stolen. My car was stolen. Listen to this. So to practice. My car was stolen and it had the accordion. I shouldn't have kept these things in my car. Bottom line of the story. I had my accordion, my golden, beautiful accordion that I named the Whore of Babylon. A hilarious name to a seventh grade Catholic school person. It had the first heels I bought, like that I used to love, having sex in. They were these beautiful pink heels that were just amazing for what they were good for. And the first puppet I ever made, my yellow puppet. He was great too because it was the first one I made. He looked more patchwork. All of my later puppets look very like Muppets, basically. I basically made Muppets. I learned how to make them from the Muppet people. I took this workshop with Snuffleupagus' rear end, not to name drop, but Snuffy's ass and I have done a workshop where he taught me how to make and perform with puppets. It was really funny. It was really funny because he took it so seriously. Like, I'm taking a workshop. We're doing as an exercise. We were doing It's a funny place to put my tits. As an exercise, we were doing the Manamana thing, where they come out and they go like, Manamana. It's like the classic 1970s Jim Henson thing. And we would do it, and like I would do it slightly wrong because I'm dyslexic, and they make you learn on a camera, on a monitor where things are reversed, because they used to do that in the 70s, even though now they have the technology. They make you learn everything backwards, and it's kind of a hassle to be a puppeteer. And I came out, and I would turn the wrong way, and he would just lose it. He's just like, 9! It was like sorry, that was like the least femme sound I've ever made. 9. And he would come out and he would take it very. He's like, no, that is not how you do manama manama. I was like, and then to his credit, most interesting guy I ever met. Definitely one of the most unique. The way the class started, so he walked out and he put on like a beautiful opera song, like Shawshank Redemption-esque, and he had one hand singing, and the other hand was like its lover, like admiring them. And like they were just like singing the opera and like falling in love, and it was just his hands, no puppets. And it was like the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in my life. It was an amazing way to be like, this is the guy who's teaching you puppets. Like, get fucking ready for this. And he was really cool. I mean, David Earl was his name. I forget his name. It was many years ago. And then all the people from my puppet class, my puppet workshop. One day was building puppets, one day was performing. And I didn't go to the building one, although I wish I had. But I got all the people from the workshop to teach me what they learned, and we would get together, and we would like sew puppets together. And the funny thing about puppets is it's fun to make them, but if you don't have a purpose, suddenly you just have like 8 custom-made puppets that you love that are beautiful, but they like just go in a drawer. You can't really display them because they have like hand rails and they don't have bottoms. But I love my puppets. I got really into it. At one point I did an art show for Sid and Marty Krofft when I lived in LA. I built a full-size puppet guy, with like legs and stuff. It was like an art piece. It was really beautiful. I was really proud of it. But that was my puppet days. The puppet and accordion, I'm really like, I'm not afraid to be incredibly dorky. It's funny too, because like I've had hot girls be like, you play accordion and you make puppets? That's really hot. And I'm like, I'll take it. I'm like, sure. Like I wasn't doing it to like get the ladies, but if the ladies like it, I make puppets. What's up? I really like this. I'll just do all of them. Pushing my boobs up with an accordion. It's really my brand. Somebody asked me what my Twitter brand was, and I said, I have no idea. And I thought about it, and I said, most of my viral tweets, my million plussers, are just making fun of sissy recovery or bragging about my dick. And there's usually a spelling error. I don't know if that's a brand. It's not a very reproducible brand. It's hard to go back to the well when you don't have a specific brand. See if we can play They Might Be Giant songs. You see, never do math on stream. Never remember if you can play Anna Eng on stream. Let me see. It's not the keys in my old gold accordion. I could bust shit out because like they're all in slightly different places. My other accordion was like cheaper, so it was a little smaller, which is shitty. So it goes. Shame on me. C, C, D, D, E minor, E minor. Ugh. Shameful shit to do on stream. I know. Could improvise. See if I can still improvise. Keep your day job, Violet. This is a song I wrote with my band. I met this girl off Craigslist. She was in a masturbation cult. What's up, Leslie? How's it going? I remember we met on Craigslist, which is how I used to meet people for bands, because I foolishly moved to San Francisco, a place not as cool as LA for creatives. I thought it was. I'd seen movies that were in the 60s and they had beatniks and they had hippies. By the time I got there, it was like, you know, people who worked at .coms with a hobby, which is not the passion I held for it in my 20s, or it was the only thing that mattered to me. It gave my life meaning. I loved it. I spent every waking hour. I'd come home from work like excited, and then I'd just like go into my, like it was just like pure joy, pure candy, like just like pleasure. And I never found anyone like that in San Francisco. Leslie was one of the better people. She definitely had the spirit, you know what I mean? Like we would write lyrics together. We'd just write like silly little songs about, she had a song called Jack and Jill. She had a song called Jupiterian, Neptunian. These like very silly songs. They're on Bandcamp if anyone wants them. I forget, what was our band called? Sincerity, S-I-N-D-E-R. Sincerity was spelled funny, S-I-N-D-E-R-E-E. Whatever, they were still beautiful, beautiful music. I spent 1 year on a song. It was like going to be my good vibrations. There were orchestral movements. It would go from like an entirely violin section. I like had my friend who played violin come over and play the song to one violin and then remix it and then like cut to an acoustic version like 8 measures later. Well, every 16 measures the song changed completely. It was very satisfying to listen to over and over again, something I do. It was very cool. To me at the time, it was my whole life. And Leslie sang on it, and she was a beautiful singer, and but she was in a jerk-off cult. I think I buried the lead on this story. And what's a jerk-off cult, you asked? That was my question. It was like a cult. Let me do it this way. She took me to a meeting. Well, I'll tell you the best part first, the jack-off stuff. So they do something called the DO, the deliberate orgasm, and you go do a due day, where you would go to these weekends or these seminars, where you'd pay like $2,000, $3,000. You'd go out to the woods in like Sonoma, and it'd be all these .com douchebags, and they would basically teach you like the secret way to masturbate that's like super duper awesome that you can only learn if you pay them all this money. And then you go home learning the deliberate orgasm technique, and then you practice it because it is a practice, and you like link up with other people that you met at that weekend, and then you basically, she like came to a band practice and she was like, oh yeah, I just came from a due date. And I was like, what's that? It's like, basically we meet and like we just jerk each other off. And I'm like, well, do you like talk later? She's like, no, that would make it weird. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't want jacking off a dude I met at a hippie thing to be weird. Like, I'd be in it to be weird. I have no interest in that, but if someone like wanted to do it to be weird, I'd be in my head being like, this is, like, I would like kinkify it really hard. And I'm sure some of them were. But like, she was a true believer. And she was like a hot young girl at the time, so they would like give her free weekends, and she would, you know, take people and teach them the hot jerk-off techniques of yesteryear. Apparently they broke into different, Oh, but the funny thing is, my friend invited us to like a recruiting meeting, and it was in a hotel in the Embarcadero, right? Like a conference room, like very quiet. It was $15, and it was called "How to Seduce People," which already, what a creep! Like that's how you get the weirdos in there. You give it an officially creepy title, and there were like, I don't know, 60 people in a conference room, and the guy who ran it had braces, which like not to be a dick, but like there's something weird about a cult leader, like a growing cult leader. It's like a bald 45-year-old man with like big braces on the outside. Again, no hate, braces are hot on most people, but like meeting a cult leader with them, like it was a very cult leader. It was a very B-tier cult leader. I'm like, call me, you go to Tony Robbins, that guy's got teeth for days. That's the kind of cult leader that I would want. If you haven't seen I Am Not Your Hero, I Am Not Your Role Model, the Tony Robbins documentary on Netflix, even and especially if you don't like Tony Robbins, delightful doc on the man. But we went there. We went there. I wish I could talk and even do a basic beat at the same. You just do like that and you're making music. It's two buttons. So we went to his recruiter meeting, How to Seduce People. And I ended up in the back row, and there wasn't enough room in my row, so I was like really squeezed out. I was between two people who like took up a lot of space. No hate, they were cool people, but like I'm like at this cult meeting with my friend who was more skeptical than I was even. I was trying to be like, whatever, it's like a funny experience, and he was like, fucking hate this shit, it's so stupid. And after like 40 minutes, he had not, like we kept waiting, like how do we seduce people? We paid $15, we're here, my man, like what's the trick? And when he got to the end, his theory was like, well then just be sexy, be seductive, be by your nature sexy. And I'm like, well, I already am, so thank you for your time. But I remember there was this one part, he'd start asking people questions. He'd be like, what are you here for? And someone would be like, I want to like build up my intimacy. And then he pointed at this one girl, like, what are you guys here? You're a couple. He's like, yeah, he can't satisfy me sexually. And my friend just bursted out laughing. Like, oh, your girlfriend just said you suck at sex. It's like so. They were like a self-help environment. We're like, I paid $15 to like find out how to like be a creep. I thought that'd be like hypnosis. He was so embarrassed. I'm like, why would you say that in front of everyone about your boyfriend being bad at sex? I'm awesome at sex. Suck it. So dumb. That's what my 20s were like. Going to call meetings. And then when we left, my friend, who was like mad, he'd like the rage had been building up that he'd even been like tricked into coming here. Because I remember like he was kind of like an incel, to be honest. I think he was an egg. I'm positive of it, to be honest. But I'm not, whatever, like figure it out on your own time. He went the other way where he went from like, now he's like a crazy bodybuilder. He's like that kind of. That like the other road. Like, okay, dude. A lot of trans men I found, right before they transition, I am what a lot of them are into, specifically hyperfeminine bimbo. It's a phenomenon. I dated like 8 girls like that. They seek me out. You can break down the psychology. I have no need to. But the bottom line is a lot of them, and there seems to be a moment in a lot of trans men's lives where they say, should I transition and become a dude or go full bimbo and get a boob job and like the lips and just go fucking deep into it? They almost always choose man, but I think there's a lesser known phenomenon with trans women where like some of them just go like, should I be a girl or should I like fucking go on steroids and get gigantic ass biceps? And like, it's a sadder choice to never see the TV glow. But my girl, like whatever, no judgment. But she like grabbed all the, she was so mad she was there. And like, cause the way she got in, my friend Leslie was like, he was like, oh, like, you fucking suck. And he's like, and she was like, you probably don't do very good with girls with that attitude, am I right? And he like had a breakdown. He went from like aggressive fuck you to be like, yes, I'm so sad. I'm so bad with women. I don't know what I want. And she's like, well, like, and she's like, it was funny to see like an incel get owned and just immediately break down. If you see this, Nelson, sorry to call you an incel, but like, I don't know, remember back then, like that book you left in the bathroom, the like Party of One, was like upsetting. I love you, I miss you. Here's a hilarious story about how you're a woman and you won't admit it to yourself. For the people. Hey, my line's always open. I'd love to get your call. Like, I'll get you on the E. Everybody else was. All our friends all her friends. I'll say him because like we haven't. But all our friends in high school transition. It's a thing. Just love yourself, Nelly Bells. What was my point? Oh yeah, and he was so mad that he was there because he'd gone there being like, I'm gonna give this one shot. And then he got there, he's just like, no, this is fucking bullshit. This is a cult. This guy's a dumbass. Like, I don't believe in any of this. And he took all their flyers and he like ran down the hallway and threw them in the garbage. It was like it's a bit dramatic, but they were like left on the table, like his printed out flyer, like just ads, just like junk. Um, I miss my gold accordion. I have so many pictures with it. When I used to do shows, I had the video of Christmas morning being 12 years old and opening it and like jumping up and down Nintendo 64 style. And I would project that and it'd be like the same accordion. I'd be like shredding through my songs. And it felt like really like, I always loved music. I still love music. This is who I was when I was 12. Like, They Might Be Giants. Like, my movie was originally written about They Might Be Giants. It's very strange to me. It's a sour note. It's very strange to me to write a movie about They Might Be Giants, and then you get to the editing room, and for whatever reason, acting, editing, director, writing, who knows, it just doesn't click. And like there's other stuff in the scene that's better. They improvised some stuff that like ended up being great. So I wrote this movie. The original costume was my my ex, who's like very like BBW body, just insanely beautiful, like a high femme, beautiful, beautiful person. And we made lingerie of like shredded They Might Be Giant shirts with her like titties hanging out, which was like such a cool like that, you want to say like make a movie about me. They Might Be Giants like lingerie underneath huge BBW titties. That's who I am. And like the shirt didn't come at the last minute. I ordered like 4 of them. It was a whole nightmare. And then and then by the end, it's just not in there anymore. And no one would even know my movie about Bimbo They Might Be Giants is like not absolutely on the cutting room floor. It becomes about something else. That's what movies are. You write a lot of stuff, and especially with my movies, I find if you don't have a budget, you don't have a real budget, and I didn't. I found out what my budget was. I thought we'd gone way over budget, and we were, but I thought we were further over budget than we were. I was off by almost, I thought we'd spend twice as much as we did. My producer's like, no, this is, he gave me the numbers. Because at a certain point, I just let him handle it because I had 1,000,001 things to worry about. And if somebody else wants to handle money that I trust, God bless you. But yeah, if I ever have a movie, if you're working with not a lot of money and you want to do something interesting, don't limit yourself. That's like the first rule for me. Wait, I know the blues. Let me sing you the blues. This doesn't have a, oh, I don't have the straps. Wow, the blues is like what I learned in 7th grade is like my starter shit. I can't believe I'm like, this accordion kind of sucks. That's sort of the problem. Not to blame the tools. Oh my God. Shameful, shameful. If John Cicada, my accordion teacher from 7th grade, saw me, who I don't know if he's like the famous, there's a famous polka guy named John Cicada, and I took accordion lessons from a guy named John Cicada, and I think they look the same. I don't know, like maybe I got accordion lessons from the greatest accordion player of all time, or maybe he was just a guy with the same name who played accordion. Both sound, I believe either one. Like many years later, I'm like, I don't know, I think it was him. So I'm just gonna say John Cicada taught me accordion. For you huge Cicada heads in the house, shout out all of Cicada's big albums. I don't know any of them, but I bet they have polka in the name. That was a naming schema. It was like funk. Everything was like polka your eyes out, or whatever. Terrible puns on something that wasn't funny in the first place. Really the hallmark of 70s and 80s music. I lost my train of thought. I had a good story I was going to talk about. Coming back. I know we all love 12-bar blues. Violet, you're so good at accordion, you sort of know 12-bar blues. Thanks, I know. I lost my train of thought. That's too bad. It was a lot of bangers about, I was talking about accordion. I loved accordion. Oh yeah, my movie. So when you do a movie with no budget, one of the best things that I do that I think is smart is like don't marry yourself to anything. Like if you're looking for value wherever you can find it. It's like that, I would think in terms of value. And if you get someone who's like a beautiful actress, then there's value in just like having them be beautiful. So you write a movie, but then someone shows up who's gorgeous. You're like, why don't we take this new value we have and like lean into it? Let's have like 10 times more close-ups. Let's do a scene with no words where they just smoke, like, or whatever, something interesting. Um, or like if you have like a cool set or a cool car, you write around it, or you know, and you have to constantly be changing. If like an actor improvises something, then the movie's and it's funny. The movie's now thematically about that, and like now just like move everything else around, and like that's beautiful to me. I feel like making a movie is like a very living thing. I think when you get too locked into this is my script and I gotta shoot it, maybe you're like Christopher Nolan and you have people who can build all of your sets and actors who have unlimited rehearsal time and you have the power to do that. But if you're me, who's essentially going out with like the smallest crew possible, like sound guy, lighting person, like props and wardrobe, I didn't even have an AD for most of the movie. Like a producer, two grips, like the smallest crew you can have, and really should have had an AD. Don't get me started. I don't know about that. I don't know what happened with that AD. It would have made the whole thing a lot easier for me. But when it's that crew, like all you have, if you want to make something great, like you have to fucking anytime anything comes your way. I was Sean Baker during the Florida project. Very famously, it had just rained and then there was a rainbow, and he just like immediately was like, get those kids, have them just play in front of the rainbow, like set up some cameras now, and it ended up being the poster of the movie. Like that saved him $25,000 to have that shot. It replaced something else that would have cost money. And just to be in a moment and be like, rainbow, let's shoot. Like to like constantly have your brain on and be constantly looking around and be like, oh, that's value. That is a valuable thing. Like I can shoot that. And like that's my process. It is a lot of, we got this editor who can come in and do like crazy music video stuff. There's one scene that might lend itself to that. It's good. Like what if we like give it the zigzag? I don't know. I've been like in that mindset for so long. I would love to do a movie where I just, I don't know, shoot the script and it's good, but it's a long time before someone gives me that kind of money. And in the meantime, it is really a joy. Also, it's so exciting when it's done because like, because like you look at it and it's something beautiful. It's something you made with people. There's one scene, the actor Antoine, was like improvising and he kept rolling his eyes and like mispronouncing a word. And I remember it was the one time on set where I'm like, well, this sucks, but like he's having a good time and it's good energy, let him have it. And then I get to the editing room and of course he's a genius. Like it is like the strongest part of the scene. This is like dumb little, I cut everything the scene was about and there's an entire scene of them like mispronouncing a guy's name and making fun of each other. And it's just like you couldn't write that. Like, or you, if you did write that, an actor of that caliber, like having someone who can just show up and like, oh, and what they're doing is a movie. Look at like that is like just press record and let him go. If you have a great actor, let him act. Don't get in anyone's way. I like the accordion, but it does not show off my large. And my wife promised me before the end of the year I will get 1350 cc's. Trump's deregulating everything, not to bring that up, but if he just deregulated boob jobs so you could get gummy bears, if I could have the first 1350 gummy bears, and they are supposed to be like approved by the FDA this year. For those of you keeping up on XL boob job red tape, because it is bullshit, it's transphobic that you can't get XLs. In America, you're not allowed to get more than 800 cc's, and the only way to get around that is to get saline and then to like overinflate something that's called an 800 thing, which means you can't get silicone, which is the much preferable thing to put in your body. And this thing will be in my body maybe for the rest of my life, at least for a decade or two. So having one that feels like a boob rather than a water balloon, exciting stuff. But it has not been deregulated yet. I'm not getting it tomorrow, so fingers crossed every day you hear that announcement. It's funny on message boards because it's just a bunch of girls with big boobs like mad, which is like a good vibe. As far as most things you do on message boards compared to Reddit or Facebook, you know, a bunch of girls angry that their boobs aren't bigger. I found my community. It's true. It's my life. Oh, my friend, my best friend, as we say, whose girlfriend I am having sex with, had a tweet the other day. And I told her I want to like learn the mind of the reply guy. Because when I use like social media, I don't read the replies, especially because the blue check mark prioritization. Like, I don't care what like someone with 100 followers getting mad at a joke has to say. It's way better. Yeah, like why would anyone read that shit? But you look at it and it has like more views. Like I've had like just one-off replies where I got like 80,000 views on like a dumb reply to a joke. Like and like who cares? But if you're looking for engagement, like they say replying is the way to go, but I just can't do it because I don't think most tweets are conversation starters. I'll read a tweet and it'll be like a funny joke and I'll like chuckle, or it'll be politics and I'll like mute it, or it'll be porn. And I think people who reply to porn captions are officially great if you're watching, but in real life, like, come on now, like, what are we doing here? Like, you want me to pretend to be your girlfriend, like, for 5 seconds? Like, okay, dude, like, give me some money. But almost as a performance art, I've been in Cassie Pritchard's ads talking to people. She had a 2.5 million tweet that was like obviously a joke. The joke was bisexual women should use trans women as like their starter lesbianism because of dark woke. It's just like a joke about dark woke. If you know Cassie, I mean not to like blow her spot, but like based on her tweets, she's like struggling with like disliking herself, and it's like her like taking a humorous approach and like sort of kinkifying trauma. And it's like also like putting dark woke in it. It's like and like it's like she's just joking. It's a very funny joke. If you know her and if it's not a funny joke, move on with your life. But 2.5 million people quote tweeted her being like, look at this fucking like doing harm, transphobe, blah blah blah. And you're like, I don't know, like you're getting mad at a joke that you don't get, like. And then I've been replying. I'm like, so why are you mad at this joke? Like, and I'll be like, do you know it's a joke? And they're like, well, why isn't it funny then? Explain it to me. And I'm like, I'm not gonna explain a joke to anyone, especially like a stranger on Twitter. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't like. But you're like, this is an abuser. This is like a rapist. You can tell. Like, just like all this like super. Like, it's like okay, you didn't like the tweet. Like, it's like this reminds me of the man who did this to me. You're like, okay, like, maybe log off. Because a lot of these people, like, I go in, like, the reason Twitter's been unfun since Trump for me is, like, who wants to see their message? Like, I used to just say, like, funny little dumb things. They weren't very good, but I'm having a good time. And the 20 people who find me funny are cool, and, like, that's cool. But, like, and you just, like, say something dumb. But now, like, if you think about it, they're reading, like, 8 hours of just, like, alone in their room doom scrolling through, like, Trump genocide shit. And then they see, like, hey, check out my movie. Is that where I want to promote myself? There's a reason every other guy kept Nazis off the platform, because it doesn't work for advertising. But it's not really for advertising anymore. It's for Nazis. They're like, we can just go the other way and take over. Whatever. We all know how it works. I mean, like, I owe you $5 for bringing that shit up. But the point is, you meet these ad people, and they're like calling my friend like every fucking slur, every fucking blah blah blah, like just like taking it, like wildly projecting, like they just like made a joke to their friend, and they're like, I was assaulted by someone. And you're like, okay, like is the Twitter ad replies for a joke the place to like, you know, share that information? Like, I do therapy, tell your friends. Like, I don't like it. But apparently hundreds of thousands of people like angrily quote tweeting, and it's called context collapse, of course. Like, people don't, whatever. Like, you all know how I'm like explaining. Did you know? But I've never explored it before. I've never really thought about it. I've never, like, I just, anytime I see any hate comment, I just mute and move on with my life. I block people so fast. I don't care. If you don't already follow me, what am I losing here? Like, someone who yelled at me once, like, goodbye. My friend's like, I'm a public account. I love these. I never wore these earrings before. I kind of like them. My friend says I'm a public account. I'm a public person, so I shouldn't like fuck around with people. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I got in someone's ads and was like, you're making fun of a joke. You're weird. Cancel me. Don't even cancel me. You can't even say that's a joke. The woke mob. The woke mob is too much. Can't even do things that aren't woke anymore because of the woke mob. You can't even do horrible things for no reason to strangers. Like, what happened? The woke mob. My friend calls our comedy group the woke mob. I think it's pretty good. It's 29 minutes. I think this was like, I don't know. I usually end by getting self-conscious, and we'll see. I'll just watch it. Maybe I shouldn't hate. Shout out all the sexy people. Just do them like this the whole time. Bye.